بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله، وعلى أهل بيتك المعصومين الأبرار الميامين المظلومين المضطهدين. السلام عليك وعلى ولدك المظلوم أبي عبد الله الحسين. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم يا عطشان كربلاء، ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم، أمن من لجأ والتجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي نفوز والله فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. I mentioned yesterday to you that insan oftentimes does not see deeply and clearly enough. And unfortunately, it's not just in the preamble or what precedes an action. Because indeed, our Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam has exhorted us to engage in thinking, pondering, tafakkur about what we're going to do, and to do so and act with precaution. The nature of a mu'min is a precautious nature. It is a nature in which we have weighed all the options. So it is not just what precedes the action, but we also don't think about the consequences of actions. That is extremely important. And that is something that we probably need to spend more time learning about. Not just the consequence that is immediate to something that we've done, but the consequence that may be 5, 10, 15 steps down. Not just what consequence befalls me, but what may affect others in life as well. And that insan is very poor about. We are extremely poor in this. We, to some degree, are able to decide on the things that are good for us, and we know and we estimate and we calculate that the consequence and the result for us will be good. We have some amount of skill in doing this. But when it comes to the ramifications and effects on others, that we're not as good. Because oftentimes we will pick for ourselves something that is good, that it may not be good for somebody else. And this is where hikmah and wisdom is required, to think deeply about what you're going to do. And those consequences are extremely, extremely important. Sometimes we even misinterpret what happens after a particular action. So let's say, God forbid, I get a trial in my life. La samahallah, some musibah befalls me, some calamity befalls me, something that I wanted in life doesn't work out. What's the first thought that's going to come in my mind? That Allah is punishing me, isn't it? Why? I said this yesterday. Because it's our expectation that if I do good, what will happen? Allah will give me good. Yes? It's my expectation that if I fulfill what Allah has told me to fulfill, then good will happen. And this is why children today are looking at the world and they're saying, we have people who are believers, people who pray 5 times a day, who say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Yet how is it that bad things are happening to them? Because in the mind of an insan is that if you do good, you do what Allah is telling you, what's going to happen? You will get good. You will get what you desire, what you ask for. And if you're being punished, if something bad is happening to you, then ayadu billah, it's because you did something wrong. It's because you committed a sin or you didn't fulfill what you were supposed to. My dears, unless it is directly related, then there's no way for us to know. There's no way for us to know. I'll give you a simple example. If I go and I rob somebody, I steal something of their possession, and I get caught, and I get punished, you know that that punishment that is occurring to me, whether that is imprisonment, whether that is something else, that punishment is directly related to what? Me stealing, the transgression. But that's not always the case. Sometimes calamity befalls us, trouble falls on our head, difficulty comes in our life, we don't get the fulfillment of our needs, and we start to wonder, what did I do wrong? Was it because I did this? Was it because I delayed my salat 5 minutes? We don't know. We don't know the answer to this question. Only Allah knows why He places something upon them. It could be a form of punishment, but it very well may not be. In any case, regardless of what the conclusion is as to the reason for that difficulty falling on you, it's an opportunity. Musibah, difficulty, calamity is an opportunity for us to open our eyes, for us to sit and do an accounting of ourselves. That's why Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, he would tell his companion that at the end of the night before you go to sleep, do muhasabat nafs. Go and ask yourself some questions. And this is actually a psychological trick. It's you talking to yourself in the third person. So you don't say, did I do this? Did I do that? Did I do this? You say, did you do that? Pull yourself out of your own skin and look at yourself at the end of the night and say, Ya nafs, did you fulfill the obligations of Allah upon you? Ask yourself this question. Did you pray on time at the earliest time, or were you distracted by something else? Were you diligent in fulfilling all the obligations that Allah has placed on you? The rights of others upon you in your life, your wife, your children, your husband, etc. Did you fulfill them? If you committed sin, did you ask for astaghfar? If you took or broke the rights of someone, did you go back and correct that action in any way, shape, or form? All of these things, you do them. Why? Because you're giving yourself a chance to open your eyes and look at yourself very, very deeply. Because, my dears, every speck of action is counted. Every speck. And if we cannot see the consequences of our actions, what do? We forget about it. If I commit a sin, wal-'ayadhu billah, and there's no consequence, meaning Allah doesn't send a lightning bolt out of the sky and punish me right there and then, what's going to happen? I'm going to think, I got away with it. There was no punishment, right? Insan is ghafil. This is how you are. Especially if they are very small sins. Little sins, what we call, yes? Insignificant sins. We consider them insignificant. Why? Because in our mind, it's not as bad as killing somebody, stealing from somebody. They become small in our eyes. Yet, what does the ayah say? فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. You know the ayah of the Quran. Whoever does even one speck of good, they will see the result of it. And whoever does even a speck of evil, of shar, they will see the consequence of that. Why a speck? Why a speck? Why is it that that speck is being emphasized, the small things? Could it be that we just don't pay attention? So let me tell you two stories. One I may have already told you, a second one I did not, but they will both give you the same point. First, it's described that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. One day he's in the desert, and he is in a part of the desert where there's only rock and dirt, nothing else. Rock, stones, sand, dirt, nothing else is there. They stop somewhere to take a break, to spend the night. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi says to the companions, he says, go and find sticks and branches, whatever you can find. They all look at each other. They look at Rasulullah. They say, Ya Rasulullah, we are in a desert where there is no sticks, no branches, no trees, nothing. It's only dust, sand, and rock. Rasulullah, he says, even then go. Go. Go look. Go search. They go and search. After a long time, they start to come back slowly. Some of them have a few, some of them have many. They come, they drop all of them into the pile. Rasulullah, he says, إِنَّهَا مُحَقِّرَاتْ مِنَ الذُّنُوبِ. إِنَّهَا مُحَقِّرَاتْ مِنَ الذُّنُوبِ. Look what he says. He says, these sticks that you had to go looking for, that you thought didn't exist, they were nowhere to be found. He says, they are just like those small little sins that you didn't pay attention to. You didn't pay attention to them. He says, that's how they are. And slowly they pile up. Yes? The same way, I'll give you another story. Two men, they come to Imam al-Sadiq, alayhi salatu wassalam, bi abi wa ummi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. They say, Yabna Rasulillah, we both want to know the burden of our sins on top of us. Imam, he says, sure, tell me. The first man, he says, look, I have done one very grievous sin, one big sin. Other than that, I've not really sinned. The second man, he says, I have done many little sins, but no big sin. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says to the first man, he says, go into the desert, pick up a big boulder, big rock, the size of the sin, that big sin you committed, pick it up and bring it back here. He says to the second man, he says, go into the desert, as many little sins that you did, small sins, go find little pebbles and little stones, go and find as many as you can for each sin, pick them up, bring them back. This man goes, second man goes, they both eventually come back. The first man comes back, he's carrying this big boulder, he's sweating, his back is bent, he's tired, he drops it right in front of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. The second man, slowly he comes, he's taken his shirt, his robe, he's holding all these hundreds of little stones, like this big, holding them. He comes and he drops right in front of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he looks at the first man, he says, pick up your boulder and go put it back exactly where you found it. The man looks at him, he goes, okay. Picks it up, he goes walking back. Imam looks at the second man. He says, all those little hundreds of stones you picked up, pick them all up and put them back exactly where you found them. The second man, he says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, how? How will I do this? These hundreds of little stones, I don't know where I picked them up from. He says, just like he's carrying the burden of that big sin that he committed, you have the burden that you committed all these little sins and you don't even know where they went. The basira of insan is so weak that we as mu'min, we say, no, we haven't done any kabira. We haven't done any big sins. We haven't killed anybody. We haven't robbed from the orphan. So we are good. We don't have to think about the small little sins that we are committing. Yet you see that this is the biggest fallacy that we have inside of us. And we should never fall into this trap. And we particularly are at risk. Insan is at risk. And that is because we have something called channel capacity. I know I throw all these words like happiness paradox and channel capacity, but they describe human nature in a very beautiful way. Let me give you an example of what channel capacity is. Channel capacity, every human being has this, okay? You bring a person, you play two sounds for them, okay? It's just a sound. One is a high-pitch sound, okay? Very shrill, very high pitch. The second sound is very low pitch. So two very distinct sounds. And you tell them, high pitch is number 1, low pitch is number 10. Identify. You play the sound for them, he says 1, 10, 1, 10. Will anyone get this wrong? No, unless you're hard of hearing, you will know high pitch from low pitch. Very easy. Two sounds. Now let's say they bring the same person, and they did this. It was an experiment. It was actually done. They bring these people in, and they say, along with sound 1, which is high pitch, sound 10, which is low pitch, they add another 8 sounds in the middle. Some that are close to low pitch, some that are closer to high pitch, some that are sitting middle range. And they play all of them to them. And they say, now you tell us which one is 1, which one is 10. 1 and 10 is easy because they're on both extremes. Both extremes. But the ones that are 5, 6, 4, 3, that are not quite high, not quite low, do you think they can tell them apart? They could not tell them apart. People failed quite a bit. I'll give you another example, okay? Georgia is deep south, right? It's like North Carolina, it's deep south. Come on, all of you live in Georgia. Proud Georgians, deep south, just like North Carolina. You all drink iced tea? No one drinks iced tea here because we all drink chai, that's why, right? No iced tea for us, we don't drink that. Let's say you do drink iced tea, okay? Forget it. Let's not even do iced tea. Let's do ruafza. Yes, you got some outside. You bring ruafza, you have one ruafza, has no sugar in it. Nobody will drink that anyways. You have one ruafza, no sugar, just pink color. You have another ruafza, they have put a full bag of sugar into it. It's so sweet. Will they tell the difference? You can tell the difference. Add 5, 6 more glasses in which you've put 20% sugar, 80% sugar, 60% sugar, 40% sugar. Come all the way down. You think a person trying all of these ruafzas will be able to tell the difference? Eventually, no, they will not be able to tell the difference because you've reached your what? Channel capacity. That's your channel capacity. You have a limited amount of space in your brain by which you can differentiate the stimuli you are receiving. Do you know they've done studies that a given human being, you know how many people we can associate with before we start to lose sort of distinct understanding and distinct recognition? 150. The magic number is 150. You can know 150 people comfortably. So if you have a community with 150 people, all of the people can know each other fairly comfortably. When you add another 5, 10, 15, now you don't know each other very well. 150 is sort of the sweet spot, all right? No pun intended, yeah? So you see that insan's nature is that we reach this limit, we cannot see beyond that limit, yes? That's why we reach the capacity even maybe of recognizing our own sin, isn't it? That at what point are you able to say that, no, I have not committed a sin anymore? Never. You will always commit a sin. Wal-'ayadu billah, may Allah save us from it. But we are not ma'soom. We are prone, even if the sin is in our thinking. Yes? And that's why the Holy Quran, what does it say? وَذَرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَهِ. Ensure that you don't do outward sins, but also don't do inward sins. There is a batini sin that you are doing, the Quran is telling you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Can we say that we don't commit these sins? Hopefully not. But do we take sort of accountability of those things? We don't. So with sins, we have this channel capacity, we reach it. We cannot count those small soul sins. We should do better. We must focus better. What about our worship? What about our worship? We are sitting on the night of Jumu'ah. This is the night of Dua Kumail, yes? What do we say in Dua al-Kumail? Allahumma azuma bala'i wa afrata bi su'hali wa qasurat bi a'mali قصرت بي what? أعمالي. Allah, my trial has become big. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي. The lowliness of my position has caused me to become disentangled. Yes? And then what? My actions have become insignificant and deficient. They're not enough. My actions are not enough. Yes? Why are we saying that every Thursday night? My actions are not enough. Because we feel that our salat is sufficient. When I stand on the musalla, I have done it. I have finished my salat. I have done that salat. I am done. Am I not? I can tick off the box. I did 2 rak'at of Fajr, 4 of Dhuhr, 4 of Asr, 3 of Maghrib, 4 of Isha. Finish. I tick off the box. I am done. I can go and put my head on my pillow at night and sleep peacefully. My dears, that salat, it's complete, right? It's complete. On the day of Ghadir Khum, Rasulullah, when he raised the hand of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu was salam, and he says, Man kuntu mawlah, fahada aliyun mawlah. Yes? What does the ayah say? اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي. Ikmal and Itmam. 2 things has been mentioned. Ikmal and Itmam. Ikmal and Itmam. Why not he just say, I finished the religion, you're done. أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي. I have absolutely completed the ni'mah on you. And I have perfected your religion. If you complete your salat, you have done it from the takbiratul ihram down to the salam, you have completed it, but have you perfected it? You've not perfected it. You've completed it. You've done all the parts that are required. You did what was necessary to get the check. But is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. That's why even Al-Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salatu was salam, what does he say? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. What does he say? He says that when you sit and do your salat, our Shia, it's reported, he says, our Shia are those who they will do their salat, the wajib salah, and then they will do a nafila. Why, Ibn Rasulullah? Because they will feel khalal, they will feel there's some shortcoming in their wajib prayer, so they will try to make it up with the nafila. This is the desire and the love of Allah, yes, that will propel you. Why? Because our eyes don't want to see that our worship is less. We don't want to see that our salah has naqs inside of it. We want to see it as perfect. Yet even the ma'sumin themselves, Al-Imam As-Sajjad alayhi salatu was salam, what will he say? He will sit and he will ask the attendant, bring me the book. And the attendant will bring him the book, he will read it, and he will weep and he will sigh. And the attendant would ask him, he would say, Yabna Rasulullah, why are you sighing? He says, don't you know this book? It contains the worship of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says, who can worship like Ali ibn Abi Talib? And he is Zayn al-Abidin, Sayyid al-Sajjad, and he is saying, who can worship like Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam? Yes? If that is their state, what is our state supposed to be? Wal ayadu billah. So that's in our worship. What about in our generosity? In our generosity, my dears, we pat ourselves on the back and don't see the small things, yes? It's related that once in Khurasan, in Persia, when Al-Imam Ar-Rida alayhi salatu was salam had been taken there, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. He was taken up, you know, after some time there, he had been meeting with some companions. They say in his own home, they say that a man comes to him, he says, Yabna Rasulillah, I am one of your Shia. I had come, I had some possessions, I had wealth, but I lost it. And I am from very far away. I cannot get home, I need some help. Imam, he says, I will help you go and come back in a little while. The report, it says the man, he goes away. When the time for him to come back arrives, Imam goes into the room. He goes into the room and partially closes the door. The man, he comes and he says, where is Abul Hasan? Where is Ar-Rida? Ali ibn Musa alayhim as-salam. The companions who are sitting there, they said, he went into the room. He will probably be back shortly. He's standing there, this man waiting for his help. Imam Rida alayhi salam, the report, it says, he puts his hand from over the door like this. And he says, here is your assistance. Take it from my hand and use it for your purposes to get home back to your family, whatever you need. The man gratefully takes just the hand of Imam from inside the room over the door. The man takes it, he goes. After the man leaves, Imam Rida, he comes out. The companions, they look, they said, Yabna Rasulullah, what is this that we saw from you? Strange, you could have come out, just given it to him. Imam Rida alayhi salatu was salam, he says, in this moment, Allah had given me a position over him because he came to me requesting help. He was banking, he was ensured that my generosity would help him, so that humbled him in front of me. He says, I did not want him to see the look on my face so that he could feel embarrassed. I did not want him to feel low in front of me, and I did not want to feel high above him, so I gave him the bag of money from over the door. So I didn't have to look at him, and he does not have to look at me. These stories, they come to us from the Ahl al-Bayt. In a very similar story, they say Amir al-Mu'mineen, he is sitting, and tonight only some stories, inshallah, very easy. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he is sitting at the door. And outside, people are walking. Al-Imam Abi Muhammad al-Hasan al-Mujtaba is next to him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. They say a man comes and he says, it's reported, he says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, describe for us an act of great valor, yes, great honor, something of great reward, blessing. Imam Ali alayhi salatu was salam, he says, you are my guest, why don't you tell me? Why don't you tell me? The man, he says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, an act of great valor, great blessing, great reward, great status is when the poor come to you and they request you for help and you fulfill their need the way they need it. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, indeed, that is an act of greatness. But can I tell you something better than that? The man, he says, yes. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says that before you give it, you see the honor and dignity in the eyes of that poor person requesting the help. And you ensure that you don't lower them or humiliate them in any way, shape, or form. This man, he says, Ya Ali laka nujum ala nujum. You have stars upon stars, Ya Ali, and he goes away. Al-Imam Abi Muhammad al-Hasan al-Mujtaba, he says, Ya Aba, my father, who was this man? We've never seen him before. He says, don't you know this was my brother Khidr alayhi salam? The teacher of Musa is being taught by Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu was salam. Salawat ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. My dears, the Quran, what does it say? It says, أَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّمَا نُمِدُّهُمْ بِهِ مِنْ مَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. Do they think that because we have given them money and children, that نُسَارِعْ لَهُمْ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ? Do they think that because we've given them money and children and offspring and all of these things, that we have opened the door for them to quickly go and do good deeds? بَلْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. No, they don't sense, in fact, that they have already stopped their ability to help others. They thought that because they had lots of money, lots of children, that the door had opened up and they were being generous to everybody, giving charity here, charity there, helping here, helping there. Allah says, they don't even have any shu'ur. They don't even have sense to realize that that charity is not accepted from them. And in fact, they don't even see the small, subtle things that they are doing that is destroying their charity. You see how the Quran, it teaches us. And this is not being given for people who are kafir, people who are mushrik, people who have denied Allah. This is people who want to serve God. But because of shaitan, what has happened? They have been led astray. Their eyes cannot see the truth in front of them. And that is extremely important. And it happens in very, very sensitive moments, my dears. I tell you a riwayah by Al-Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. One, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. That in all honesty, when I read this riwayah, I'm paraphrasing it for you, but I read it in Arabic, it shook me a little, I'll be honest. There's a man named Abu Usama. He describes that once I was with my master, Al-Imam Abi Abdullah Ja'far ibn Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. He said, my master asked me, recite something from the Quran. So I picked a surah and I started reciting. When I recited the surah, I noticed that my master Ja'far ibn Muhammad, he had tears in his eyes. He was weeping. When I finished, he looked at me, he said, "Oh Abu Usama," he says, "make sure that you always have the remembrance of Allah in your heart." Abu Usama, he says, I said, "Yes, indeed. It is my goal, it is my objective to have Allah in my heart all the time." Abu Usama, he says, then my master, As-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says to me, he says, "Oh Abu Usama, do you ever have those moments in the morning?" And I'm paraphrasing. Do you ever have those moments in the morning when you neither are thinking about the good deeds you've done, nor you're thinking about the bad deeds you've done, but you're thinking about nothing? Do you ever have those moments? Abu Usama, he says, all the time. I always have those times when I'm not thinking about the good I did or the thawab I'm going to get or the sin that I committed and the punishment that's waiting for me. I was sitting in emptiness. He says, there are many people, all people are this way, where they have these moments of emptiness where in the middle, they're not thinking. Remember I told you channel capacity, no? In the middle, where there is no thinking about anything. Imam, he says, ensure that in those moments, you bring the remembrance of Allah into your heart. Abu Usama, he says, Yabna Rasulullah, why? He says, because in that moment, a spot can appear on your heart. Just one spot. That spot either could be the spot of thawab, doing a good deed, or a spot of ma'asiyah, disobedience, sin, shar, evil. And he says, Abu Usama, he asks, he says, what if you don't feel it? What if you don't feel it yourself? He says, then it is upon Allah to protect you. Then Allah will choose what He wants to put inside of your heart, based on your niyyah, what your niyyah is like. My dears, do we want to leave it to chance? We don't want to leave it to chance. We want to ensure that even in those empty periods, fill it with the remembrance of Allah. You see how even the smallest things, be conscious of them. Why, my dears? Because Allah sees everything. Allah always, I remember, I used to listen and I met many years ago, rahmatullahi alayh, Allama Talib Jawhari. Allama Talib Jawhari, on my path to finding Al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, he was instrumental. I was in Karachi in 93, long time ago. And I remember I will go listen to him in Nishtar Park at 4 o'clock, just after the Dhuhr Adhan will go. And then Martin Road at night. Man, he read some great majalis. May Allah have mercy on this great scholar of ours. Great scholar. I will go and sit right in front of him. Right in front, and I will listen. As a young man at that time, I wasn't that young, but still younger than today. And I will listen to him. And I even, alhamdulillah, because my cousin was one of his protectors, I got a chance to go to, what is the name of the place? Chaurangi? Chaurangi, I can't remember now, where all the Shia, his home was there somewhere. Ancholi. That's where he was. We went and I visited it, saw his library, met with him, sat with him. He would say something in his majalis all the time that I remember. Mukafat amal. Yes? Mukafat amal is a matter of fact, no? That what you do, eventually you're going to face it, somehow or the other. There is going to be a repercussion to your action. Now the big actions we know, God forbid we know if we do something big, we will face the repercussion of it. But if we do something small, what do you think it's going to slide? Maybe if we do astaghfar, we recognize that small sin that we've committed, and we repent and we turn and we don't repeat it, then yes, Allah will absolve us of it, expiate it. But those small sins that we commit, that we are not paying attention to, what, they're going to slide? They're gone? No, they're written on the book. And in fact, we will face the consequence of whatever that so-called small action is. And I call it small because it's the only way to describe it. There is no small sin in front of Allah. Every sin in front of Allah is what? Humongous, is large. It's transgression against the Lord God, who is there, who's given us everything. So he would say, mukafat al-amal. Allah sees everything, my dears. Allah recognizes everything, and He does not allow His people, His mu'mineen, ever to be compromised in any way, shape, or form. He protects His religion, He protects His people, and He ensures that any little action, there is going to be a repercussion for it, okay? So I'm going to switch directions a little bit now. Stay with me, please. They say one day, a man is sitting in the court of Muawiyah, la'natullahi alayh. Muawiyah has, this is after the demise of Al-Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mujtaba. So by now, Imam Ali is gone. Imam Hassan has been poisoned and shaheed. And now it is the period when Muawiyah had some strength. Why? Because the two big adversaries for him are gone from this world. Imam Hussein had remained relatively silent from the 50th year after Hijrah to the 61st year after Hijrah. He remained fairly silent during those years. So he brings his courtiers together, people in his court, and he asks a question. He says to the people of the court, what is it, in your opinions, that in your opinion caused all of these wars between the Muslims? What is it? They say two answers come up from the crowd that is gathered. The first group, they say the assassination of Uthman. The group comes, they say, we think it is the assassination of Uthman, the third Khalifa, that caused all of these civil wars. Muawiyah says, no. No. Another group comes and they say, no, our opinion is the appointment of Ali ibn Abi Talib as the Khalifa. Muawiyah, he says, no, you are wrong too. So the people in the court, they look at Muawiyah and they say to him, what is the answer? Tell us, O Amir al-Fasiqeen. I don't want to say Amir al-Mu'mineen. Tell us, O Amir al-Fasiqeen, what do you think is the reason for all the civil wars? And this is what the history reports, that Muawiyah, in front of his court, he says, the committee, the electoral committee that the second Khalifa created to appoint the third Khalifa, that was the cause of all of this fitna. Muawiyah says this. So they said, why? Why? And it is said that it's explained that one, the process by which the first gave it to the second was direct appointment. So there was no argumentation. Even though they had essentially removed the Ansar from the decision-making process, and even though the second Khalifa later on, he came and he said it is a falta. Falta is a misjudgment, a mistake in the process. He came later on, he said it was a falta. It shouldn't have happened. It was a mistake. But now the second has been appointed. Instead of appointing somebody himself, what did he do? He appointed 6 people. Those 6 people included Uthman. They included Ali ibn Abi Talib. They included Talha, Zubayr, and Abdurrahman ibn Auf. These 6 people had to decide, and he gave them instructions. He says, you have to decide on the next Khalifa amongst you. Who will it be? And if it is a tie, strangely enough, it is 6 people. If it is a tie, Abdurrahman ibn Auf will make the decision. He will break the tie. He will break the tie. We know how it went. We know they came to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, and they said, Ya Ali, we would like to give it to you, but you have to follow Allah's book. You have to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and you have to follow the way of the 2 shaykhs, the shaykhain. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, Amma kitab Allah fana'am. As for the book of Allah, yes, of course, it's the book of Allah. As for the sunnah, amma sunnat al-nabi fana'am. As for the sunnah of Rasulullah, yes. As for the opinion and the way of the 2 shaykhs, fala. No. Why? Because I have my own opinion on how I think it should be. I know, and even the history reports that Umar ibn al-Khattab, I'm not telling you anything that is from our books, this is from general history. Even Umar ibn al-Khattab would say that Talha, you don't want him to be the Khalifa. Why? Because he is a different man when he is happy versus when he is angry. He will cause problems if he becomes angry. Zubayr has this and just shortcoming inside of him. This person has this shortcoming inside of them. Ali ibn Abi Talib, if you bring him into the position of Khilafah, he will strictly enforce the laws of Islam and make you obey Allah. He himself, he says this. And yet, he did not appoint directly somebody. Having said a statement like this, who he could have chosen. Not only that, but it was written in the code, his instructions, that if it is decided that somebody is the Khalifa based on 2 or 3 votes or 4 votes, and there are 2 dissenting voices who say something different, then those 2 dissenting voices have to be killed. They should be executed. This was his rule. It is in the history. Now imagine this system has been placed in front of Muslims, right? We think it is something small, but the ramifications of this is quite large. Is it not? And I already mentioned to you that Abdullah ibn Umar is there amongst them, this so-called neutral figure. So we see these actions that are taking place that we call them very small, they're very tiny, but the ramifications are very, very large. Yes? How can 6 people decide the fate of an entire nation? Forget about 6 people, 1 man. 1 man. Now you know what he said? He says, if I appoint my own successor, then I will have done just like Abu Bakr had done. And Abu Bakr is much better than I am. He was a better man than me. This is what Umar would say. And then he says, if I don't appoint anybody, if I don't give the name of my successor, the next Khalifa, then I will be acting like Rasulullah. And Rasulullah is better than me. Rasulullah did not appoint anybody. Wal-ayadu billah. Yet after Ghadir Khum, what is he doing? Saying, Bakhin, Bakhin, Ya Ali. Asbahta mawlai wa mawla kulli mu'minin wa kulli mu'mina. Ali, today you have become my mawla and the mawla of every mu'min, every mu'mina today. Yet you see how it has changed. We think that these are small statements, minor occurrences, but the ramifications are so big you see them today. You see what it has done today. And believe me, I have said this to you, that Allah is not blind to anything. Didn't I say to you, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Those who do even a speck of good, they will see. Those who will do a speck of bad, they will see. And Allah is going to protect, He's going to ensure that His wali is always taken care of. Don't worry. Even if you don't perceive, even if you cannot sense what is happening, they're so small, the occurrences are so insignificant that you don't perceive them, Allah does. So let me finish here. There is a story in the Holy Quran about Nabi Salih alayhi salatu wassalam. Nabi Salih, you all know, his community does not accept him. So it's reported that he preaches to them, but at night he will go to a cave. There was a cave there where he lived in the community. He will seclude himself in this cave and he will worship, sleep there, pray to Allah, call upon Allah. The Quran describes that 9 men from his community, they come together and they plan to kill him, to assassinate him. Yes? Not only to assassinate him, but they're going to do so while he's inside that cave. So the ayah, what does it say? It says, وَمَكَرُوا مَكْرًا. They devised a scheme and they planned. Now as they came, they stand outside, it's the night time, they're standing outside the door of the cave and they're about to attack Nabi Salih alayhi salam, when what happens? Allah through His angels, some riwayat say it's Jibreel, they knock the boulders, the rocks from on top of the mountain, and all those rocks fall on these 9 men and kill them. The rocks fall down and they kill them, they destroy them. Now what does the ayah say? وَمَكَرُوا مَكْرًا. They schemed. These men, 9 of them schemed to kill the Nabi. وَمَكَرْنَا مَكْرًا. Allah says, we also schemed. We also did makr. وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. They didn't even perceive that we were planning to destroy them. They didn't even sense it. They plotted, they made their plan, we plotted also, and we destroyed them. My dears, for Salih, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the rocks to kill the ones who wanted to kill him. For Muhammad, on the night of Hijrah, he sent Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Where the rocks did the job for Salih alayhi salam, for Rasulullah, there is no sword except for the sword of Ali ibn Abi Talib, who slept in the bed of Rasulullah. And you will say a small act like this, yes, sleeping in a bed means nothing, no? It's such a simple job. You sleep in the bed. Yet, when Rasulullah, he says, Ya Ali, will you sleep in the bed? Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, Ya Rasulullah, by this, will you and the deen of Allah be rescued? Will it be saved? Rasulullah, he says, yes, Ya Ali. By sleeping in the bed of Rasulullah, the sleeping of Ali in the bed rescues the religion. You see how these acts are. Taking the smallest of acts and making it the biggest of big. This is the lesson of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim as-salatu was-salam. And this is what you see, the actions of the smallest of the small in Karbala. Karbala is this. Karbala is the stand of those who were made insignificant by the world, but in the eyes of Allah, they were giants. They were the most powerful. They were not weakened by anybody or anything. And that's why you see that when the companions had been killed, and one by one, the youth, the shabab of Bani Hashim started to go out. One by one, they start to go out. Ali ibn Akbar has gone out. Abdullah ibn Muslim has gone out. Several others are starting to go out. They say one young boy, he comes to Al-Imam Abi Abdullah al-Husayn. He says, Ya Amma, they have gone, they have fought, they have died. Every time you reach their bodies, you recite فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا وَنَحْنُ فِي الْأَثَرِ. There are those who have given their lives and sacrificed, fulfilled their vows. There are those who are waiting in line to give theirs, and they stayed on the path undeterred, and we are about to follow them. You keep saying this, let me go now. Al-Imam al-Husayn, he looks at Al-Qasim ibn al-Hasan. He says, my son, you are the reflection of your father. Your father has left this world. There is only one nishani of you left, of him left, that is you, nobody else. I cannot allow you to go and give your life. The Rawi, he says that Qasim ibn al-Hasan, he says to his uncle that, Ya Amma, my heart is burning. Don't let me sit on the side. Don't let me just witness what is happening in front of me. Allow me to go out and unsheath my sword against these enemy soldiers. Allow me. Imam Hussein still will not accept. Qasim ibn al-Hasan, some say that he went back to his mother Ramla, to Farwa. When he came, she saw he was dejected, he was sad. She said to him, I know you have asked, and I know your uncle has said no to you, he has refused you. I have something for you. Take this letter in your hand, it is from your father Al-Hasan, and give it to him. He had meant it for this day. That relationship between the two brothers, my dears, in their life, the Rawi, he says that one day Al-Imam Al-Husayn came into the room where his older brother was sitting. When Al-Imam Al-Hasan, he saw Al-Husayn, he began to weep and cry. Al-Imam Al-Husayn, he says, Ya akhi, Ya Hasan, why are you crying? Al-Imam Al-Hasan, he says, Ya Aba Abdullah. He says, I'm crying because of what they're going to do to you. What they're going to do to you. Imam Hussein, he says, my brother, you will face a great difficulty in your life in how you will be killed yourself, being poisoned. Al-Imam Al-Hasan, he says, my brother, Ya Hussein, he says, the one who gives me the poison gives it to me only. It will spread in my body and it will cause me to become sick, such the blood will come out from me, and I will die. ولكن لا يومك يومك يا أبا عبد الله. We must repeat this. لا يومك يومك يا أبا عبد الله. There is no day like your day, Ya Hussein. There is no day like the day of Ashura. Imam Hassan, he says to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, there is no day like your day. 30,000 soldiers will stand in front of you claiming to be of the community of our grandfather. They will spill your blood and the blood of your followers, take your women prisoner. On that day of Ashura, Qasim ibn al-Hassan takes the letter from his mother Farwa, goes to Imam al-Hussein, gives him the letter. He says, Ya Amma, risala min walidi al-Hassan, ata'adhan li fil qitaa. Imam Hussein reads the letter saying, give my son the chance to now represent his father in your defense. Al-Imam al-Hussein, he couldn't give him permission. Finally, he looked at Qasim and he said, Ya bunayya Qasim, kayfa tara al-maut? How do you see death, my son, O Qasim? فأجابه قاسم قائلا إنه أحلى من العسل. It is sweeter than honey, Ya Amma. Imam Hussein looks at his nephew. وَبَدَأَ اعْتَنَقَا وَبَكَيَا. They began to hug each other. They wept and they cried. But Imam Hussein could not get himself to give Qasim permission. فجاء القاسم وأخذ بيد عمه وبدأ يقبله. Qasim, he took the hand of Imam al-Hussein, began to kiss the hand of Imam al-Hussein, like a child is going and asking a parent for something. Give me permission, my uncle, to go out and fight. فَضَلَّ يُقَبِّلُ يَدَيْ عَمَّهِ. He kept on kissing the hands of his uncle, kept on begging him, until finally Imam al-Hussein, he says, Idhab ya Qasim. Go, my son, O Qasim. The Rawi, he says, a smile comes on Qasim's face. And he begins to walk. They say Al-Imam Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, he sees Qasim walking in the sand of Karbala. He is so small, the sword is dragging in the sand of Karbala. Imam Hussein, he calls to Qasim, he says, Ya Bunay, Ya Qasim, faltafata ilayhi al-ghulam. Qasim, he turns back and looks at Imam Hussein. He says, Na'am ya Amma, what is it, my uncle? I am going into the battlefield. فقال له الحسين يا بني إني لأراك تمشي برجليك إلى الموت. My son, I see you walking with your legs, going towards death all by yourself. Qasim, he says, he doesn't wait. He says, وَنَعَمْ يَا عَمَّا وَكَيْفَ لَا وَأَنْتَ الْآنْ وَحِيدًا بِلَا نَاصِرٍ. How is it not that I should not go out to death when you have been left all alone by yourself? No one is there to support you. Qasim ibn al-Hassan goes out to the battlefield, calling out in tunkiruni fa'ana najlu al-Hassan. If you deny me, know that I am the son of al-Hassan, coming out to the battlefield, fighting the enemy soldiers. One of the soldiers strikes Qasim on the leg. The Rawi, he says that the strap of his sandal breaks. When the strap breaks, Qasim ibn al-Hasan stops in the middle of the battlefield and starts to fix the sandal, the strap of the sandal. As he is fixing the sandal, the enemy soldiers all together, they say, while he is distracted with the sandal, attack him from every side. They began to strike him with their poles, hitting him with their spears, until finally struck on the head. Qasim, falling to the ground, he calls, Assalamu alayka ya Amma. Upon you is my salam. They say that when Imam Hussein hears the voice of Qasim, he gets on his horse and like a hawk he attacks the battlefield, charging towards the sound of Qasim. The enemy soldiers, they see this lion coming towards them. They see Al-Hussein coming towards them. The cowards, they start to run in every direction, on their horses stamping on the ground in every direction. Imam Hussein reaches the ground of where Qasim's voice was heard. The sand of Karbala has come up into the sky. Imam Hussein now gets down from Dhul Janah, starts to call, Qasim, raise your voice, I cannot see your body. Tell me, where are you, Qasim? Finally, the sand of Karbala comes back down to the ground, and there is the body of Qasim ibn al-Hasan. The stamping of the horses have broken the body of Qasim. The Rawi, he says, Muslim, Hamid ibn Muslim, I saw Abi Abdullah al-Hussein put his chest on the chest of Qasim, lift up the body, but the legs are dragging him. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا على محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. إنا لله